On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, with how everything ended for the Avalanche this year, what would be a successful season for them next year? Is it still Stanley Cup aspirations? Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. If you want to get in on the conversation, join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. Pretty much taking a lot of questions from subtext and kind of answering some questions. We haven't done a mailbag since the season ended, so we're going to dive into a lot of questions that we received. One of which, where we're going to start off the top, even though we are Locked On Avalanche, where we're going to start, Mr. Sullivan, is with the newly minted Utah Mammoth, because their official team nickname and official logo and colors were released in the worst kept secret since Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were in Spider-Man No Way Home. So it's been a tumultuous road to get here. They didn't want the Mammoth. They wanted Yeti, but Yeti coolers said nope. We're not going to share that. So they went the route of the Mammoth. I think there was another one in there that was a similar thing to Yeti, where there was a copyright thing. I believe it happened twice. It could be mistaken on that, but I think it happened twice. Either way, the Yeti one definitely happened. Either way, they settled on the Mammoth. And I just was curious. We did get questions on it. We did have people asking us, like, what do you think of this? So I want to get your take on it. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, it is the worst kept secret. And like, it's no secret. Like, I like video games and I play all the NHL. And like the logo, when you build your team in NHL, it's one of the generic logos that you get in the game. And it's just
funny.
It didn't wow me. And like when you hear it, like Utah Mammoth, like if you didn't know, if you were maybe a basketball fan and you saw this, you're like, oh, that's cool. But like to hockey, it doesn't really do anything. Like Kraken, that's still going to be probably one of my favorite jersey logo. Everything reveals the Knights. For
Terrible.
what it's worth, it's still kind of cool-ish.
Don't like it at all.
Yeah, I get it. There's a lot of like hate around it, but this one was just kind of
The thing with this is, like, I honestly, you're right about the video game. Like, it is kind of like the preloaded, if you're making your own franchise type of logo, it's kind of what it does look like. But having said that, I don't hate it. Don't hate it. It's fine. It's fine. It's not terrible. It's not Kraken level. Like, Seattle absolutely blew it out of the park.
No, let me. Seattle did blow it out of the park, but they didn't. Let me just tell you. You know those colors they had last year for their
Utah,
Utah Utahs, the hockey clubs.
Yep.
They announced what the name of those colors are on this jersey.
Okay.
I want you. I hope you're buckled up in your podcasting chair
because I don't know this. So go ahead.
There are three colors. It's salt white,
okay,
mountain blue,
okay,
and rock black.
Why can't you just say white, black, and blue? Like, why do we have to do this salt white?
They saw Dallas with victory green. They're like, we could do something.
We hold our beer.
Salt white.
Salt our white claw.
Rock black.
But that's the other part of it for me is it didn't have like this wow factor to me because they didn't change their colors.
No,
I thought they were. I just in my head, I was like, what they went with this year is a holdover for everything. And next year is going to be completely different. You're going to have a new logo, a new name, and new colors. I thought there were new colors were on the horizon, and I think that's the main reason why I'm just like, oh, okay, you just added a logo to this. You added a logo and your name. So it just didn't have that wow factor to me. And I don't think they missed the mark with the nickname or the logo. But I think they missed the mark with not introducing, or if you want to keep your main colors, some other color. But they didn't do that. And in Colorado world, you're angry because just the sheer fact that they took the name the Mammoth is not sitting well. It seemed like whatever they were going to go after was something to do with Colorado sports, either the Yeti or the Mammoth, even down to the hashtag. Did you see that?
Oh no.
So the hashtag for the Colorado Mammoth is hashtag tusk up. For the Utah Mammoth, it's tusks up. They made it plural. Like that is just another like nail in the coffin to like Colorado fans.
And this goes back to my point. If you're a baseball, football, basketball fan, you saw this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But hockey fans, it's a generic logo with colors we saw last year that honestly look like the Milwaukee Admirals.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing feels original, and then you're seeing the tusk up thing, like you're seeing the parallels between the Mammoth and the Predators. Like it's the Kraken blew down the doors of original, mind-blowing, attention-grabbing, and continue to do so with every jersey reveal. And it feels like everything they do on this is trying to be like everybody else, even down to rock black, mountain blue, and salt white. Like the Avs are burgundy and blue, baby.
Yeah.
That's all they are. And it's they're trying to be like everybody else when they had the opportunity to be original. And even their names, it felt like all five of them that they were deciding on.
Yeah.
There were so many similarities to other teams and organizations that I don't know.
It's just like, okay. It really, like, it was just all over social media, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't feel like we need to put this much attention on it because it's not terrible. It's not great. It's just, okay, we have a new name. Let's just move on from it. So,
and Ian Cole is our poster boy.
Yeah, that's a weird one too. So we're going to move on from it. So, but I do look forward to the rivalry because I think that is going to be the new rival for the Avs. We shall see. Let's dive into Avalanche stuff, obviously, and where I want to start today is a question we got from Daniel, and he says, "Will the Avs have to reach the Western Conference Final next year in order to avoid any additional firings?" So, if you look at this like in a bigger sense, yeah, firing, sure, but I just threw it out, like I said at the top of the episode, and the first bullet point for watching on YouTube is like, and he made me think like. You kind of like listen to what's going on and around the surrounding the Avalanche right now. People are not happy. We talked about that window thing yesterday, and people think like, oh, they're going to take a step back. They don't have the draft picks. We'll talk about those. Are the Avs in for a regression? Not in that they're going to miss the playoffs. This is still a playoff team in my eyes. But it is a good question. Like what constitutes a successful season next year? If everything is doom and gloom, and you're not expecting anything from them, for the people who think like, oh, this team's just gonna, Homer Simpson it into the bushes. What's success? Is making the playoffs successful then? No, for me, it's like this team still is a team that they are going to put together a team where they will say and believe it, we can go compete for a Stanley Cup. And I'm sure there's some people who just laughed that I just said that right now. But that's how this team and that's how this franchise is built. They make a team to go for the deepest run possible, and that is for a Stanley Cup. But it is the question is there. So I will throw it to you for going into next year. How everything is right now. You haven't signed a guy. You haven't made any moves at all. Just looking at it how it is right now. I know it's way forward thinking. What is a successful season for the Avalanche next year?
I kind of have to agree with Daniel. I think the Western Conference Finals would be successful, and honestly, the way that everyone does keep their job, because if it's round 2, then it's, see, now they still can't get past the second round. If they just get bounced in the first round, see Minnesota. Same with getting to the playoffs. Like, yes, that's cool and neat and nifty, but ask Minnesota how that's really going. Like, yeah, you can make it, but not doing anything isn't really it's not effective. And I think honestly, if they can get to the Western Conference final, it's proof of concept. It's the proof of this confidence that Sakic and McFarland have with their commitment to this roster and its current construction. That, hey, see, everything does work. We can get to the Western Conference final. We can get past the second round. The pieces are there. We need, and then you address the one or two pieces to get you over the hump that next season. But I think everybody stays safe, and you can call this a successful season if you do reach the Western Conference final. I'm not saying everybody's going to say, yeah, especially puck drop at the beginning of the season, everybody believes their team can win the Stanley Cup. And with this core, with Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and Landeskog, he's now back. You could say, yeah, this team can compete for the cup. But Western Conference final is going to be my realistic barometer on if this is a successful DNA.
And the way I answered it was you make a Western Conference final, and that puts some people's minds at ease a little bit. You know what I mean? You still missed out. If you lose the Western Conference final, you still missed out on going to like the big dance. But, making the NHL's Frozen Four essentially is no small feat. So, and because of how things have gone for the Avs and since their Stanley Cup win in just the one series that you've won, sure, I think making the Western Conference final just makes everybody feel like, okay, we're on the right track. And then you can go into that following year saying like, hey, now we genuinely just need like another one or two pieces to get over that Western Conference final hump. So yeah, I think that is, I don't want to say that's the goal, because the goal is to win a Stanley Cup, but for everybody to just feel better about the direction of the Avs and just to overcome these hurdles since the Stanley Cup final. Yeah, winning 2 rounds when you've only won 1 since 2022 will just make people just feel like it. Again, if you lose that, yeah, it's going to have the feeling that you kind of have now of like, darn, our season's over and you didn't get as far. But when you remove yourself from that for a few days, you'll feel like, okay, it's an accomplishment to make it to that far. Let's go get it the season after. So I think I'm in agreement with you. I think
because it feels like at this point with Bednar, this will be going into year 10, if I'm not mistaken. The first round, just making the playoffs, not enough anymore. Getting to the second round, not enough anymore. Western Conference is where you need to go. And if you're not, then you have to seriously address, like, have we peaked? And do we have to shift some things? That's how I feel about this playoff.
Like, I want the Avs to be that team that you just expect to win a series or 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you expected Vegas to win round 1. I know they had a pretty easy road on with Minnesota, although they put up a fight, but you just expected Vegas to win that. You expected the Florida Panthers to win first round series. You're not going to like this. You expected Carolina to win a first round. Like, be in that conversation. You are in the other conversation right now of a team that cannot win a series. You have to flip that around.
Yep.
So we'll see. Leads into the next question. And it's a very difficult question to answer, but we're going to get our first break in here. When we come back, it's a very simple question on just what do the Avs have to address next year. But it's a very, very difficult one to answer right now. So we'll try to tackle that. We'll do that next. All right, let's hear from Indeed, because you just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. And how can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. You can just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed's all you need. So stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. If you've been in that spot where you need the right hire, like we said, like yesterday, last week, last month. The pressure is on, and every day without the right person is a setback. That's exactly when Indeed sponsored jobs comes in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. And now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsor job credit. Just go to indeed.com/lockedon right now and support Locked On Avalanche by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. So terms and conditions apply. And if you need to hire, Indeed is all you need. All right, sir. Got a question. This was from Mark over on Subtext. And he says, this is a tough one. With only fourth and seventh round pick, Callum Ritchie gone, do the Avs go for an upcoming free agent like Tavares or Bennett, Pionk or Ekblad, or do they shell out for Nelson? Or do they keep the squad with or without Nelson and make another cannonball splash at the 2026 trade deadline? Basically, he's asking, what do the Avs do this offseason? It's a all-inclusive question on who they sign. I haven't got too much into free agents yet and what I feel is like a good fit for the Avs and who's out there. But I did look into centers. I'll talk about that in a second. But this is tough because you really look at the landscape for the Avalanche as far as the draft goes. Just forget about it this year. Like they are not going to make moves that somehow, some way get them into round 1 or even round 2 or even round 3. Like, I don't think it's possible because you don't have a collection of picks to package together to move up at least into the 3rd round, which I think would be incredible if they were able to do that. So you're not going to do anything in the draft this year. I think you can really kind of just the couple picks that they have, the 4th and the 7th. Enjoy your 2 players that you're going to get in the draft. And then next year you have, again, you don't have a first, second, or third, but next year you have 2 4ths, 3 5ths, and 3 7ths. So you can package something together to move up in next year's draft, maybe up to a 3rd or something, but that's next year. As far as the draft goes this year, forget about it. Everything kind of just goes to free agency and signing and maybe some trades that you make, which I think that's where the Avalanche are going to be their most active.
Yeah, because, and honestly, I get what everybody's saying. Like, the Avs don't have anything for the draft this year, but is this really a draft you want to have anything for? Like, yes, the Islanders won the lottery, but this is the first time we've had a draft lottery where the question is asked, well, where do the Islanders go? Every other draft, this is the you know exactly where they're going, who's going to be picked 2, 3, 4, 5. Like,
even one, like for this year, there's not a consensus number. Like, there are people who think, yeah, this guy could be 1, this guy could be 1. There's 2 or 3 guys that really could go number 1. There is no Connor Bedard in this draft.
Yes, that's the thing. Like, there's no generational, like, you can say they could help, but there's not a consensus number 1. Like, this is a organizational changing player. So it doesn't matter where the Avs are, even if they had a first round pick, it's not going to change the trajectory of the future for the Colorado Avalanche. So it's okay that it's not this year. So you got to look at this team and free agency. That picture you're going to get a better picture of that once the cup is awarded and the dust settles, and other teams also have to address what their future looks like. For the other 31 organizations that are not raising the cup, what do they have to do? That's when you have to look at this roster top to bottom and say, can we do it again? Because that's what it sounded like in the press conference. Sounds like that's what they are planning on doing, is running it back, this team. But we've seen that many times where they say, we're going to run it back again. And they go get Matt Nieto and they go get, former players, bring them back one more time on the cheap and make another push. And it feels like it might be another one of those seasons for the Avalanche.
And this kind of couples with other questions we got about, what do they do at center? Do they try to keep Nelson, which I think they will. I think they'll try to do that. Yeah, we got questions about with Landeskog back and his cap number coming back. What does that mean for trying to sign Brock Nelson? What does that mean for Jonathan Drouin trying to sign him? There are a lot of questions now around the salary cap, but the only thing I really did look at as far as free agents go were the centers. And as far as unrestricted free agents, when it comes to centers, here are the guys who are coming off of contracts that I stopped it at $5 million. So these are the guys that made $5 million and above, and I'll start at $5 million. Mikael Granlund, Yanni Gourde, Brock Nelson, Claude Giroux, Nicholas Backstrom, and John Tavares. What do all of those guys have in common?
AARP.
They are at least 33 years old.
Yep.
At least. That's the minimum. 30. So the top guy, the top chunk of guys based on cap number from last year are all 33 and above. And obviously when you have guys like Backstrom, who's 37, pushing 38, that's at the high end. Even Claude Giroux's 37. So your pickings are there. Mid 30 guys, which is not terrible. But or you can dive into guys below that, and there's some, there's some good names in there, but we're trying to solidify a 2C here yet again, and that's why I think they are going to try to be active and just keeping Brock Nelson there.
Yeah, and I'm going to just sum up real quick to everybody's point on what do they do about contract guys. You're not paying Mikko Rantanen. He's not on the team anymore. And he costs more than Gabe Landeskog did. And you put a team together. You don't have to worry about that contract going into next year. Gabe Landeskog's like $2 million cheaper than Mikko was. So you could do it. You could go, and Brock Nelson was what, $3 million?
Well, he was $3 million because the Islanders kept 50. So he was actually at 6. So he's going to want around there. He's going to want it.
Well, at 33, you could say, hey, you want to come back for what you were getting again? If he says no, but say, hey, you get one more, you get an offseason with us. We get to push one more time. We want to build this around you. We're committing to you. Come back to us. Hey, the system. You don't have to waste a year. This is come back for 3.5. Just do.
I don't think he would come back for that. No. He would not come back for 3.5 to play the second line center. He's worth way more than 3.5.
Well,
he would be like, that is insulting. I'm walking out the door, and don't ever call my agent again.
You don't. He's not a $6 million center.
He's gonna want that. 33 years old is not like the end of your career. You still got, for guys like him, they're thinking like you better give me a 4 or 5 year deal at around what I'm making now, with the salary cap going up too. Yes, he's gonna want it.
Even still. I would still push to make it team friendly. Keep Brock Nelson, not Jonathan Drouin.
Well, I think you can probably get Drouin for a little bit cheaper than you think now, and that's not the worst thing in the world.
No, yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah,
because we talked about that going into the year, that it's a show me year for Drouin. He did, so it's probably going to be copy paste of last year's contract.
It could be maybe a slight bump again with the cap going up, maybe a slight bump, but I think they can keep him around for a pretty reasonable figure. Yeah. I want to stick with the Brock Nelson thing because Vargar asked a question just about his fit. We're talking about bringing him back, but in the short amount of times with the Avs, did you like the fit? So let's get our last break in here. We'll talk about that. And what are we doing with our Mikko Rantanen jerseys? Had somebody ask that question too. And then maybe we'll put this Mikko Rantanen thing to bed. I don't know how much longer we'll be able to talk about Mikko. It just hurts too much. So we'll do that next. All right. Have you ever checked your bank account and wonder, where did all of my money go between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, hockey jerseys, whatever you're spending on? It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop managing your money and start building wealth. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com and you get 50% off of your entire first year. That's monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNHL and you got 50% off of your entire first year. Monarch Money, go check them out today. All right, let's stick with the Brock Nelson conversation here. Vargard, he asked the question, do you like the fit? He said, I don't think he plays with enough pace for the Avalanche system. We know the Avalanche like to play a speed game. And when you have guys like Martin Necas, Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon, those guys are at the forefront of that pace of play. That's the top of the line. Like guys can't keep up with that. Is Brock Nelson known for his speed? No. But Brock Nelson plays on a line, and this is how I answered Varga, was I'm okay with the line he's on. Because he'd be their second line center now with Landeskog coming back. Landeskog doesn't rely on his speed. You'd be playing with Landy and most likely Valnichuskin, who also doesn't rely on speed, although he's quick. Valnichuskin is quicker than people give him credit for because he's such a big body. It doesn't seem like he's really moving that fast. But, he's not on the level of, Nathan MacKinnon or anything like that. So I'm okay with that line because that's a more kind of like methodical line that relies on like smarts than they do like their speed, where the top line, they can just go crazy and just, overpower guys speed wise. But, and this is, I told Varga this too. It's like, it kind of hamstrings you a little bit in terms of moving guys around on lines, because if you drop Martin Necas to the second line, they can't keep up with him. And does that affect? How much effect does that have on that line? So I like him. I he's a very, very cerebral player. Incredibly, the hockey sense for Brock Nelson is just off the charts, and you love having that. You sacrifice some speed there. So yeah, I think he's a fine fit for what this team is trying to do. And it's one of those things where you got him late in the year. Would love to see what he could do after an offseason training camp and a full year with the Avs.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of like Brock hate and like, let's move on. What are you guys doing with this 2C position? Like, this is becoming the drummer for Spinal Tap. You've gone from like Newhook to you went Newhook, Rijo, Middlestead to Brock Nelson. I think Brock Nelson's been the best one yet.
In a short amount of time.
Yeah, but I think he's, and honestly, I think he would benefit with a camp, an off season, and familiarity with his actual line mates. I think he complements both Landeskog and Nuke. And I don't think it's not like I get he's not as fast as everybody else, but like we have Nathan MacKinnon who skates over the puck and turns it over all the time. Like, I'm fine with that line, and I'm fine with Brock Nelson, and I wish they keep him because I think he is a good, you get a punch with that top line, a good counter punch, and a change of pace in that second line. If every line for the Avalanche was speed, you're Buffalo. Like you've got to have it. You've got to have different flavors for your different lines. So I like what Brock Nelson brings, and I think he better be the 2C going into next year.
I hope so. I hope they can make it work. I really do. Someone else brought up Keaton Middleton. So could Keaton Middleton be a similar player likened to Eric Johnson? Do you think he's starter quality?
Yes.
And the way I answered him was Jared Bednar just likes him. He likes how he plays. He's a big body. He gives you that grit. Absolutely. And he will protect your guys. And this is where I said, like, the defensive side of things is going to be really interesting to watch for the Avalanche this offseason. Because if they have to free up some money, they might have to free it up on the defensive side. And guys like Sam Malinsky and Keaton Middleton are going to have to step in and take a full-time role at very cheap contracts. And I'm not worried about the contract part of it. I'm worried about how can they play. And I loved Sam Malinsky this year. And I was okay with Keaton Middleton. I thought, like, he's not going to wow you. He's not going to light up the stat sheet. It's not what he's supposed to do. But you saw many times Jared Bednar throw him out there, give him minutes, give him time. So I do. I think Jared Bednar, not getting fired is the best thing that happened to Keith Middleton.
Yeah, and I remember many episodes that we're talking about an Avalanche win, and we're like, we just give Keith Middleton props just for his presence out there and his effort, like standing out. Like he didn't show up on the stat sheet. I remember stopping many times and saying he looked good out there. Had nothing to show for it, but he looked good. And you know what? I miss that. That's he's a great presence out there. I agree with Bednar. I like his play. And another guy that I think could benefit with another year in the system. I think he could benefit with more minutes and more responsibility. I do agree this could be like the next Eric Johnson, like built like Sam Malinsky. I like what he brings, and I like what Keith Middleton brings. So I absolutely think he could be a starter and a financial option for that defensive core.
It serves two purposes: your salary cap, and you can put him out there and kind of have some trust in him.
Yep.
Oddly enough, you can. So, all right, let's finish things up with
you won a cup with Curtis McDermott. Like, come on,
people. Yeah. Let's finish things up with Mikko. I got a question on him, really two. And this goes back to Vargar. It says, if you're trading a franchise centerpiece and want him to stay in the other conference, why not allow teams to negotiate? Excuse me. Why not allow teams to negotiate a new contract that would be signed upon finalizing the trade? You could get more return for the player as well because the other team has security. Wouldn't that have been a smarter way to proceed? So obviously he's talking about when they're dealing with Carolina, why not let Carolina deal with him, and you can do that sign and trade thing. Like he'll have a deal ready for him over there, and that now you don't have to worry about him coming back to the West for 8 years. In this instance, it's a little bit different because I know Carolina was wanting to add somebody and a big name.
Oh, and you froze. No. And real quick, I know those deals happen all the time in the NBA. Like I think that would get a little muddy if you made it like a requirement that you get to sign and sit and make that contract. But it's not like this happens all the time either. Like the Carolina Dallas situation is not a common occurrence. So there might have been some miscommunication, and it sounds like Mikko's agent is the source of all of the woes in the front offices for many franchises. So I get what Vargar is trying to get at, but
am I back? Am I good?
Yes, you are back.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Where I was going with that was the Avalanche needed like the element of surprise here, like because Mikko didn't think there was a trade on the horizon at all. And as soon as you throw that out to him, he might not even just want to show up. Like, why would you want to show up to a team that's trying to trade you? But Carolina was trying to make a trade. They wanted to bring somebody in. You heard that they were in kind of conversations with Vancouver. So the Avalanche needed to move quickly. They made this decision and they needed to get him out the door, basically, because if they waited, there's other teams dealing with Carolina. And it wasn't exclusive. If Mikko Rantanen was the only one on their radar, maybe you go down that road. But again, I don't think you do because, you're not a team that's on the bottom of the standings where players know they might get dealt. And you can go to those guys and say like, hey man, it's not working out here. We're struggling to win. We got this set up for you. Do you want to go talk to them and deal with them? Yes, fine. This is a situation where it's very difficult to do that. I agree with Vargar, but if it was known, if it was widely known that we are trading you, yes, then you go do it. But the Avs needed some element of surprise because it was not on anybody's radar. And as soon as it is on someone's radar, there's another team that's going to call up Carolina and say, we got something better. You're in the market to deal somebody. Let's talk. And then you just have phone calls going off like crazy, and it just floods the market. So it's tough to do it that way.
And it's kind of a little bit on Carolina not having a better understanding on what they're bringing in and the interests of Mikko wanting to be there, because as soon as he got there, he was ready to get right back out of there anywhere. So that's kind of on Carolina. And up until this Avalanche series, it looked like Carolina was the victor in that trade, where they had a better end of the year than Dallas did. Like, they were looking much better, but I mean, it is what it is. You don't see this all the time.
I really want to see the 30 for 30 on his time in Carolina. Like what? It just seemed like as soon as he got there, he just wanted to leave. Like, what was it about Carolina? What did he not like? Because I've been to North Carolina. It's a great state.
It is.
I've been to that arena. It's a fun arena.
Not according to the fan poll. I mean, the player poll.
Well, no, the visiting locker room apparently is god awful. So going off of that one this kind of on a fun one. Matt asks, if Mikko stayed with Carolina, I would have worn my jersey, but as a star, I just can't. What do you do with the Mikko Rantanen jerseys? For me, it's just going in storage. It will probably be long after he retires before I take it back out. Because who knows? Maybe after 8 years, he signs a 1-year deal with the Colorado Avalanche to end his career. Who knows? So, no, I'm not getting rid of it. No, I'm not burning it in a fire pit. No, I'm not selling them. They're just going to go with the Matt Duchene jerseys away, and I won't see them for a very, very long time.
I have two Mikko Rantanen jerseys. One is the reverse retro 2.0. So it just stays turned around. You do not see the back. The other one I bought like 2 years ago for an ex-girlfriend. She's no longer around. Neither is a jersey. I'm fine. That's how you deal with that one.
So if the next girlfriend that you have, be cautious of what jersey you buy her.
You're getting a nameless blank jersey.
Just a blank jersey. Love it.
You're getting a Utah Mammoth jersey.
Because that is the kiss of death. If you get a jersey from Shaggy Von Doom, you're not going to be around.
You're either not going to stick around, or the player's not
sticking around. Oh man, I'm glad we can laugh about this, sir. That was fun. All right, that will wrap it up for today, everybody. So there's some other questions we'll get to tomorrow, and anything else going on in Avalanche Nation, we'll of course talk about it for tomorrow. But for today, thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We made it through another 24 hours where Sidney Crosby's that much closer to being with the Colorado Avalanche.
He's on a 2C.